Hello! Welcome to Carlene's Kitchen, where today we're going to make a roll that only has 5 carbs in each one. So today I'm going to be working with some ingredients that have more fat, no sugar, and not very many carbs. So I'm going to be getting my mixer going in just a second. If you listen closely, you can hear that my air fryer is heating up over yonder. So let's get going for these cheesy low carb, high fat, delicious keto rolls. First thing you're going to do is put in 1 3/4 cup of mozzarella cheese. The next thing we're going to do is put in some cream cheese, 3 ounces of cream cheese, followed by 3 eggs, 18 grams of protein right there, and let's turn that on and get it going. I'm supposed to try to use my one-armed attachment instead of this whip one, but I couldn't find it, so I'm using my whip attachment. To that, I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of coconut flour. I'll be coming back to that in a minute. Of coconut flour, followed by a 1/2 tablespoon of baking powder. In you go. Out you go. A 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder. A 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. I can smell that. And then I'm going to add some, it's called salt, but it's really a potassium salt. So, going to put that into it, and let's see how we look. See, it all gets clumped up in there. See if I can get it to unclump a little bit. Let's see if we can look in there a little bit. See what it's doing? I like it. It looks great. That's fabulous. So, take that off. Come on, let's get out of there. And undo this, and what I'm going to do is put this mixture into these little silicone cups that I got on Amazon. You can use paper ones if you want, which I did do last week when we made these. I made them with paper and they did stick a little bit, and I had sprayed the paper, so I don't really know what that means. But what we're going to do is put the mixture into these silicone cups. I thought they were so beautiful. Let's see how they do. I'll be having them in just a minute. And then I want to talk to you momentarily about the ingredients. But look at this mixture. It's pretty cool. I think it turned out perfect. And these are little rolls. Each roll, like I said, is about 5 carbs. Do you count carbs? You know, one of the easiest, though it seems mentally the hardest, I think one of the things that all senior citizens and younger, but to be aware of how many carbs you're eating. You take these off. It is so easy to eat too many carbs in our Western diet. How many carbs should we eat a day if we did start counting? Well, I don't know. I don't know what people say about that. Maybe 40. I mean, if you could eat 30 carbs, you wouldn't be eating, you would lose weight just by counting carbs. Anyway, See what I've done here? I've made my little balls. I didn't have to use my trusty spatula. So what I'm going to do is bring my air fryer over, and I've got my air fryer heating. So I'm going to go ahead and open it. And I'm going to put these silicone cups in my air fryer. I don't know how many I can get in at one time. Maybe more. I'm not going to squish it, so I'll have 3 extra. And then you set your air fryer at 350 for 10 minutes. And it usually goes faster than that. But I want to talk to you for a moment about some of these ingredients while this cooks. I'll have all those actual amounts in the description before. The description is where I love. I love writing in the description. I probably put way more work into the description than the average Jane, average Joe, but I like to do it, and it's really therapeutic for me to do that. There's an article that came out in the Epic Times that talked about seniors using their brain, and I realized that when I have to write something, I have to think a little more, and it seems to stimulate dopamine or serotonin or something in my brain. I like it. So anyway, I want to talk to you a moment about these ingredients, and let's start with this. We'll just go in the order I put them in. Coconut flour. What do you know about coconut flour? I know that I actually like to cook with it, but it's so dense. It just absorbs so much liquid. Wow. So, I used a half a cup of this, and notice I had to put 3 eggs just to counterbalance just a half a cup of this. But 2 tablespoons of coconut flour has 3 carbs. So there's 8 tablespoons in a half a cup. I used a half a cup, so that's like 12 carbs in the whole recipe. Really is pretty incredible, I think. Now, if you use almond flour, it's even less carbs than coconut flour. But I do like baking with coconut flour. I'm just really getting the hang of it. So we'll see how these turned out. Last week when I made them, they turned out great. So coconut flour is an option. It just takes liquid. It takes a lot of liquid. So, coconut flour, organic coconut flour from, I think we got it at Costco. Let's talk about mozzarella cheese. And I'm not putting them in the order I put them in. I shouldn't have said that, take it back. Well, I wanted to look at this because sometimes, most of the time we buy organic. This time I have both. When you look on the back, it's just 1 gram difference in set fat. 0.1 gram different per 1/4 cup in saturated fat. This one has a little more cholesterol. Sodium, they're the same. Carbs, they're the same. Sugar, of course, they're the same. Added sugar, they're the same, which is 0. And then in protein, the organic has a little bit more. So if you're just looking at fat, that's not the reason to buy organic. But if you look down at the ingredients, and I'm not showing them to you because I'm reading them, but this one that's non-organic has a couple ingredients in them that probably separate it from this. And one of them is, one's organic milk, one's pasteurized milk. This one has potato starch, which the organic has no potato starch, which would be another carb. The non-organic has dextrose, and calcium sulfate to prevent caking. This one has an anti-caking, the organic, but it's called powdered cellulose. And then probably the big one, because I can't pronounce it, natamycin. It's that mold inhibitor in this one. So yes, you're probably not getting a lot of mold inhibitor, but I would say this is preferable. The organic is preferable by comparing the ingredients. But this is interesting. I want whole milk. The non-organic, yes, uses whole milk. The organic uses skim milk. Now, the reason that I want whole milk is those that speak into my life and talk to me about eating dairy, you want to take whole milk if you do eat dairy, because the probiotics are killed in the process from whole milk going down to skim milk. Does that make sense? It's about probiotics. And so I definitely want probiotics, which leads me to whole milk. But of course, then I always have the thought in my mind, I would probably like to have less fat. So I don't know, I'm still learning. The other ingredients that I'm not going to talk much about, but you have to make a decision which type of sour cream you're going to use. Because yes, they have organic cream cheese. Organic cream cheese and sour cream. I don't really see a big difference in the actual ingredients. The fat content is identical. The carb is identical. The protein is identical. The only difference is this uses organic milk. This does not. So there's that to consider. You know, I think this is an option. If you can't afford to always get organic, to get organic 75% of the time, if you can. That's just an option for me. And I know because there's just 2 in our household, we don't have to buy food for a family, a large family, so we're able probably to afford more organic. But I do sympathize with families that are looking at this, what's best to put into the family members. I have talked about this, but let me just highlight it again. This is a salt, but it's a potassium salt. It has 35% of the amount of potassium that, I'm going to round it up to 40, could round it almost to 50. Less than half, but closer to half of the amount of potassium for your daily intake. Well, this has 1,248 mgs. So say you were trying to eat 6,000 mgs of potassium a day, trying to really up your potassium. This is really helpful. Some days I just put some in water and drink it, measure out a teaspoon and drink it. So I got this on Amazon. I could find nothing like this at the local store, but this is potassium. Dr. Pasenka says it's okay way to get potassium. So let's take a look and see how our rolls are going. Oh my gosh, they are done. So the next thing I'm going to do, you could take them just like this, but I'm going to put some butter on top of them and just put them back in for a second. This is just melted butter. Now, those of you that are really pushing to use the Mediterranean diet, you could use an avocado oil, or just put even some olive oil on them and not reheat them. But I'm just going to reheat them for a second. Back they go. And we'll be taking them out in just 1 second. I'm pretty excited about this. And I think that should do it. Ah, hot, hot, hot. Look at that. They came out. That's exciting. And I'm just going to let these cool because I'm going to put new ones in. I'll tell you what, these little cups were worth an investment. Remember, each one of these has 5 carbs. I mean, come on. 5 carbs? Oh my, that is incredible. Now, some people like them warm. I kind of prefer them a little cold. Either way is fine. So we'll let them chill just a second, and I'll show you an option that my husband taught me. Let's put you back in. Turn you off for a second. And let's just cut one in half. I think they look amazing. Here they are. You can see the cheese on side. That's why I kind of like to let them cool a bit. But we'll taste them just as they are. Mmm. Mm-hmm. Mmm. They're delicious. The recipe and the amount of carbs and fat will be in the description below. But let me just tell you that each one of these has less than 150 calories, less than 5 carbs. Each one has 9 proteins. No sugar, but 11 fats. So to me, if I were counting my carbs, like I am on most days, I now am pushing what? 5 carbs, but 9 grams of protein. So this is what Myron did the other day. He got some of this. I'm sure you've seen it. When you read the label, it's made out of 70% strawberries, apple juice, lemon juice, and fruit pectin. It has a little bit of carb in it, but Myron went ahead and put just the littlest bit. The cameraman took like a little bit of that, and he was having coffee. Do you remember this cameraman?
Yes.
And that's what he did. Now come on. Mmm. 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 This recipe works. I love it. So, check out my description below and you will see how to do this, how to serve this, how to enjoy this, and counting carbs can work for you if it works for me. May our food be blessed. Bye-bye.